Washington, D.C. to take back the White House? Yeah!
What's up, everyone? Jasper Gonzo here. Another episode of What's Next, your daily dose of common sense and facts. It was only a matter of time before this clown decided to crawl out of his spider hole and make his feelings known regarding certain potential political opponents. We're going to take a trip on the way back. We're going to go way, way, way back to 2004. Now, remember 2004, George W. Bush was running for re-election. Of course, we were still coming off the tragedies of 9/11. And of course, there were a number of Democrats who decided to try to unseat him. It turned out to be John Kerry. But this one particular one, Howard Dean, yes, of course, Dean, known of the scream heard around the world, which eventually led to his downfall as a failed presidential candidate. Well, of course, he's got something to say about Desantis and Trump. Gee, I wonder why. Or what, shall I say. Let's take a look. This comes out of Breitbart. Howard Dean, DeSantis is a fascist. Of course he is. Much scarier than Trump. Former Democratic National Committee Chairman Howard Dean and failed presidential candidate and loser said Tuesday on MSNBC's Debate, nobody watches, that Governor Ron DeSantis was a fascist. According to Dean, that made him much scarier than former President Donald Trump as a potential 24 Republican presidential nominee. Guest host Jason Johnson. You now have some Republicans who are saying, hey, look, maybe Donald Trump shouldn't run again. Maybe it will be a problem. Maybe, him running with all these allegations, all this violence associated with him, because, of course, it was, the horrific January 6th, which was more scarier than 9/11. Maybe, him running and all, maybe it ends up being damaging to the party. He asked, do you think any of these potential allegations could influence when he will make an announcement? Or do you think it's just a done deal that the former president will run again in 24? Dean said, I don't think it's a done deal at all. I have no idea what his calculation is. But we won in Georgia, particularly in the Senate, because of Donald Trump. Because there were a number of Republican women, moderate Republican women in the suburbs who couldn't stomach voting for this crook, this disgusting person. They just couldn't. And that's happening all over the country every day. More stuff comes out. I'm actually hoping Trump does run. Oh, no, you don't, Dean. No, you don't. He added, I think Trump's calculation is a mixed one. Illness, narcissism, acute narcissism. It's mixed with political congratulations that he's not very good at. There are a lot of younger people in the party that are much scarier. Let's go to Ron DeSantis, for one, who just today announced that he would require all students in Florida colleges to declare their political views. I mean, this guy's a fascist. Trump, too, is narcissistic and ill to be a successful fascist, even though he has all the instincts. I think he will be easier to beat than any other of the political candidates. But let's hear a little bit from the failed one himself.
So, Governor Dean, I just want to end with this very quickly. You now have some Republicans, some very quiet, right, the grown-ups in the room, who are saying, hey, look, maybe Donald Trump shouldn't run again. Maybe it's going to be a problem. Maybe
now this is Jason Johnson, who is a racist,
and all this violence associated with him.
So
maybe it ends up being damaging for the party.
Make that very clear.
I'm not falling for a banana
racist
in the
ass
tailpipe.
clown.
There have been people complaining about Trump for 5 years and he keeps running. Do you think any of these charges or potential allegations could influence when he's going to decide to make an announcement, or do you think it's just a done deal that the former president will run again in 2024?
I don't think it's a done deal at all, and I have no idea what his calculation is. But we won in Georgia, particularly in the Senate, because of Donald Trump, because there were a number of Republican women, moderate Republican women.
I think it was very stupid people in Georgia who voted for this clown warlock
person, and they just couldn't. And that's happening all over the country every day. The more of stuff that comes out. So I'm actually hoping that Trump does run. I think Trump's calculation is mixed up with his illness, which is narcissism, acute narcissism. And it's also mixed up with a political calculation that he's not very good at. I mean, there are a lot of younger people in that party that are much scarier. DeSantis, for one, who just today announced he was going to require all students in Florida's colleges to declare their political views. I mean, this guy is a fascist. Trump is too narcissistic and ill to be a successful fascist.
All right. All right, my thoughts. Well, as we all know, Howard Dean was a failed governor. He was a failed Democratic National Committee chairman. And of course, most famously, a failed, excuse me, presidential candidate. So I can see why he has such disdain for Donald Trump. And now, of course, now he is focusing on his disdain of Ron DeSantis. Now, Ron DeSantis, as fascist as he is, has passed a number of policies in the state of Florida that has benefited parents, parents, their children, away from the evilness and demonic nature that is the groomers. And of course, those on the left don't like that, because they love the groomers, and Howard Dean is one of them. So when you have DeSantis, who passes sports by birth law a year ago on June 1, of course, to kick off the groomer month, which was classic, masterful. And then, of course, the most famous, him passing the parental rights and education bill, which basically stated in one part that sexual nature of the alphabet community shall not be taught from K through 3rd grade, or technically no sexuality shall be taught from K through 3rd grade. Let's get specific, but that was meant for the alphabet community because of all the groomer teachers running around on TikTok. But Dean is just jealous of DeSantis because DeSantis has been able to get things done in Florida, just as Trump was able to get things done, even though he had a supposed Republican House and Senate who basically, a lot of them couldn't stand him and still can't stand him. Mitch McConnell, anyone? But he was able to get things done within the first 3 years. And then, of course, COVID hit and pretty much washed that all away. And then, of course, the shenanigans in 2020, which led to Joe dementia and, of course, the wonderful economy that we are dealing with today. But Dean's right on one thing. It's going to come down to one of those two at the end of the day. One of those two are going to run, and one of those two are going to win. And that's the be-all, end-all of it. But then again, this comes from a failed presidential candidate who is just simply jealous that he can't do what they've been able to do. But also, he is right on one thing. When it comes to the suburban white Karens who were able to pull off wins in Georgia. So he's right on that point. And they weren't Republican either. So, yeah. And with that being said, I'm Jazz Berganzo. This is What's Next. Want to see more just like this? Please leave a comment below. Like it, share it, subscribe to it. And we'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace.